When our child is really anxious, it can feel super helpless. Hello, friend. My name's Zach. I'm an anxiety management coach, and I'm a father. And to be honest, still to this day, when my child gets really anxious, if I don't watch it, I can feel helpless. In fact, that's kind of a human reaction, right? When someone we love is experiencing something that we know we can't really help them with, that's where that helpless feeling comes from. So hopefully after this video, you'll feel a little less helpless and a little more hopeful. Okay, I needed to cover a few things about anxiety before we dive in. Number one is that anxiety lives in 4 spaces within a group. So let's cover them real quick. Number one, there's anxiety within you. Number 2, there's anxiety between you and someone else. You ever had that where you feel something between you and another? That's anxiety. And then number 3, the anxiety within them. So when your child is anxious, that's where the anxiety is. It's within them. And then number 4 is the anxiety within the group. So if there's multiple people, all of a sudden anxiety can be amongst the whole group. Here's the thing about chronic anxiety. Chronic anxiety spreads like a cold. So if your child is anxious, it is going to make you anxious. It's good just to acknowledge that that's our natural tendency. We really have to fight off that cold, not by pushing our child away, but by doing a few things we'll discuss. Okay, the first thing is, in those 4 spaces, when we talk about anxiety management, you have only one place where you have control over, and that's yourself. And this can get tricky because when we get anxious, we can try to control others, control the group. But that's actually us living out anxiety. We only are in charge of what's going on within us. So we're going to talk about how to stay calm ourselves, and then just give you a few practical tips on how to help your child. All right, here's how you help yourself to remain calm. And remember, when your child's anxious, it's going to make you anxious. So first we got to notice that that's going on. So that's just a good tip. It'll help you just to notice right away. Child's anxious. Notice. It's making me anxious, right? A lot of times it's easier to see it in someone else than it is ourselves. And then we're going to name what it is we're anxious about. For me as a dad, just to give you some tips, just places to look, is I want my kids to be happy, healthy, and whole. Good desire. When they're not, I can get anxious that somehow I've screwed up. I can want to make them do something. These are all things. That's naming what it is I'm anxious about. I'm anxious that I'm not a good dad. I'm anxious that my kids won't thrive. I'm anxious that this will lead somewhere terrible. You watch the news for 2 seconds, you can see all the horrific things that happen, and we can start catastrophizing that will happen to our kids. Those are all things to name. And then sometimes you're going to get in a situation with your child where they're very anxious and you're very anxious, and even if you noticed a name, you're still anxious. If that happens, you might just need to take a few minutes and diffuse. And here's how you diffuse, is you go in a place that fills you up. So for you, what is it that fills you up? Be around people that fill you up. So you can just say, hey, we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, but just give me a couple minutes and go be with someone real quick that fills you up. Or do an activity that fills you up. These things can be big or small. They don't have to be hours on end. They can be short, little quick wins that help you to diffuse your anxiety. And if you do that, you'll remain calm. See, when we're helping our anxious child, that is the biggest thing that we can do that help, is to remain calm and connected ourselves. See, if you remain calm but you're not connected, that's not helpful. That makes a child feel rejected. And that's where abandonment can come from. But if we can connect with them, that helps them calm down. Here's how you can connect the easiest. Be curious. So when they are getting anxious, curiosity diffuses the anxiety. Just ask them what they're worried about and listen. Don't fix. Our temptation is to fix, but it's curiosity that diffuses the anxious child. Don't be surprised, though, if they don't know right away what's going on in them. That's okay. Over time, with you being curious, you're going to get some clues, and you're going to figure out what makes your child anxious. And more importantly, they're going to figure out what makes them anxious. If they're really spun up, here's a couple more tips. The first one's called 2-1 breathing. Here's all that is. It's very simple. It's just pick a number. We're going to go with 2 and then double it. So 4. So we're going to breathe in for 2 and out for 4. See, sometimes we just need to breathe. The more anxious you are, the less breathing we do, and it becomes more the shallow breath that keeps us in anxiety. Simply by breathing, it'll slow our speech, it'll slow our actions, and we'll return a little more to normal. Another tool that really helps my anxious kids is called the Pause app. It doesn't just help my anxious kids, it helps me and my anxiety. And this is where it's by John Eldridge, and this is just purely a scriptural meditative app for Christians. And it slows your breathing. In fact, a little blurb will come up and then go down, and you're supposed to breathe with it. And then it puts you through 1 Peter 5:7, where it's casting your anxiety on God because He cares for you. And you're going through this. In fact, I do the breathing and the app with my children. I don't just tell them to do it and go away. It's a connective thing. We do it together, and they really enjoy it. In fact, when they're anxious, I will ask them, would you like to do the Pause app with me? There has never been one time where they haven't said yes. Because no child wants to be anxious, just like no adult wants to be anxious. It's not a good feeling. Helping to equip your child will really help. Not when they're anxious, but for the future. And so if you want tools and tips that for your anxious child and for yourself, watch this video right here on managing anxiety. I know it'll really help you.